Hello everyone, my name is Gulshan Memoria. I'm the founder and CEO of Inspiredvalley. We've started this series called the Inspired Valley School Initiative, where we connect with the best minds in the educational world and to discuss on some of the very prominent topics. Like today's topic is the power of emotional intelligence in educational leadership. And to discuss this topic, we have some esteemed panelists with us. The very first speaker we have is Miss Nayana Chowre. She is the principal at Mount Litera School, Udaipur. We also have Miss Karishma Shah Khanna. She is the Dean of Cambridge at People's Public School, which is in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. We also have Dr. John Mathew. He is the principal at Green Valley International School and PU College, Udupi. And last we have Dr. Sandhya Venkatesh. She is the principal at Mount Litera School, Goa. I welcome you all on our show. Fine. Let me start the discussion with the very first and this interesting topic of the power of emotional intelligence in educational leadership. John, sir, I would like to have your views first on this emotional intelligence aspect. Then, why emotional intelligence is very much required, especially at the leadership positions. Just to have small views from your side.
I would say, so far we had kind of feeling that education was more onto the intellectual side, that is more of information, more of IQ development. That is the way people had seen it. And the most learned person, most knowledgeable person can handle and do things the best way possible. But the times have changed, and now as the age has come for EQ and HQ also, which you may take up later. That is the emotional quotient and the happiness quotient, I should say, along with the intelligent quotients. So emotional intelligence and awareness and management of it has a very significant role in this century because we live with people of diverse views, thinking, and who have a lot of diverse sources of information. And these days, to run a good educational institution, with all this diversity is a challenge.
Exactly.
So you have, I consider a educational manager's job as that of a shock absorber because, you have a car and you have people riding on it, say the management or the beneficiaries ride on it. And then the people working under you, the wheels, that is the teachers and staff and people who are working and people who are riding. And at any end, if there are issues and problems, it is the balancing force is like actually the shock absorber. And as shock absorbers or as educational managers, I think emotional intelligence and balance is very, very significant, without which no good leadership would take place in this century. This is what I feel.
Wonderful. This is the most scientific answer I've ever heard on emotional intelligence. Wonderful. Okay, let me ask the very first question with the. Just a second. Yeah, with Sandhya ma'am. Sandhya ma'am, is my voice loud and clear to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me ask you your question. So, educational leaders are responsible for setting a positive tone and climate in the school, right? So, how can the principal utilize their emotional intelligence to create a culture of trust, respect, and collaboration among all the stakeholders?
Gulshan, what I feel is when you say educational leaders, we principals are responsible and our job is 24/7. The
Exactly.
parents should be comfortable when you talk about stakeholder, we have parents, management, students, and the society.
Exactly.
Plus your all these five things together, if they trust you, you just give them a call, they'll stand by you. So that
Exactly.
atmosphere, if you have to create, you have to build that trust by telling people that you are also available 24/7. The parents should know that the child is in safe hands. Once the parent is rest assured that my child is in safe hands, the parent will always trust you and believe you. Then comes the management. You have to appraise your management of the requirement. See, initially few years back, nobody was talking about emotional intelligence. Nobody was talking about happiness in school. Everybody was focused in academics. Now, why these changes have come? Because the entire scenario has changed. So if I have to develop that trust, I should be available. My staff should think and feel that if I have a problem, my principal is the right person. I should not beat around the bush. Go to her, speak, and she'll solve my problem. The
Exactly.
children should have it that my principal is my guide. If I require her, she is there with me. So in my school, I follow a policy of my door is never closed. It is open for anyone and everyone. So, if only thing I request the parents that I teach in 9 to 12, so you take appointment come. But my children, they can walk into my office, they can speak to me. And in my school, I put those suggestion box, suggestion slash complaints. Because there are some children who can't open up. They can't speak to parents, they can't speak to teachers. So if they can write it and put it in that, and I have told them in assembly that when you put those shit in those boxes, I'm the only person who will be opening it. So you can write anything and everything. So if
Exactly.
you have a problem, you can just put it, I will go through it. So you will not believe, Gulshan, that when I open that box every 15 days, I find the smallies also writing. And the children are blunt and frank enough to give me the correct picture. There is a case of, see, now they are growing. And
Exactly.
with internet in their hand, it has become very difficult. They have all sides. So our role as leader has increased. So
Exactly.
I have
Yes.
trust, and if I am building it, I should be available. So I feel that we have to have open doors policy. We have to have a year which is for everybody. Listen. See, if you listen to them, they will open up, and that trust and faith will build up.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any speaker would like to add your point on this question? Now this is the forum is open. If not, then I'll also ask another question. See now, previously, I mean, as Sandhya ma'am has rightly mentioned, that previously everybody focus was on getting good marks, right? Mainly was on education, but now things are changing. I mean, with a rapid pace, and many things are coming up on daily basis. I would rather say, not monthly, even on daily basis. The new things are coming up, and even the principals are having a very hard time finding out, okay, which things to try or which things that we should be avoiding out, right? And when we are trying a lot of things, like we would like, it is very much required for a principal also to convey the same message to the not just with the students but with the parents also. And when you convey a lot of things to the parents, they confuse a lot, right? They confuse a lot. Now the first intention was to get good marks. Now you're asking them to focus on this financial literacy also. At the same time, robotics also. The same time, the entrepreneurship clubs also. So when you try a lot of things, then I'm sure the parents ask a lot of questions, and sometimes they feel that there's a breach of trust also, right? So how do you say, or what's your point on this? Anybody would like to share their own examples if they have personally felt like this? Anyone? Karishma ma'am, Miss Naina?
See, when we are talking about trust, or when we are talking about an emotional well-being of a child, or even of a staff, right? Or what Sandhya ma'am spoke about, the open door policy. That one open door policy, when you have it for the kids, even for your staff and parents, like fine, for parents, we could have an appointment to all that thing on basis. But when it's open, like, people have more faith on you. Right. When you look at the relation, it's very important now to build that rapport and relationship with your staff also, and even with your students. Initially, principals, I mean, when I look at my principals, they were the last person I would ever wish to talk to. Because the image is very different of a principal, what I have had, right, perceived. But today when I see, it's very easy for a child to come and approach you. Because that is what we are teaching them, right? We are making them more confident. We want them to be more rational. We want them to open up, right? So when we want those things from them, then we have to have some policies in place which allow them to speak. So when we have an open relationship with the kids, where they tell us even as ma'am did mention about the suggestions and complaint, that over time, right, even the little ones have started giving up and they were giving you the genuine picture. Right? Because that is how they look at things. They believe that you trust them. And when we show them trust, definitely they reciprocate in the same manner with us.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let me ask
Thank
another.
you.
Let me ask another question with Dr. Mathew. Dr. Mathew, so emotional intelligence involves this self-awareness and self-regulation, right? So, what strategies can principals employ to enhance their own self-awareness and effectively manages their emotions in high-pressure situations? And in case if you would like to give some precise examples with some high-pressure situations examples, that would be great. Is my question clear to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Over to you. I think there's some problem with the internet. Fine. Let me ask another question with Nana ma'am. Okay, Miss Nana, my voice is loud and clear to you?
Yeah, please go.
Fine. So the role of
Yeah, I
I
would
think he's there.
put it.
Yes.
Dr. Mathew, there's some problem with this your net connection, the connectivity. We are getting your voice in bits.
Gulshan.
Oh, this is 21st century challenge.
In
I
this-
must say.
Yeah. No, these are the early months from Shah's, probably.
We can't.
So we all are facing the challenges.
Yeah, sometimes. It's okay. Let me ask your question. So,
Yeah.
Miss Nana, so role
See,
of
God has given us two centers.
He's there.
Dr. Mathew, I would like to
Imaginative, don't take it scientific.
let me personally mute him again. He is facing. Okay, fine. So let him join once again. Yeah, Miss Nana,
Yeah.
let me ask you
Yeah,
this
please
question.
tell.
Okay, let's take care of it. The role of principals often require managing a diverse range of emotions, right? So both from the staff and the students. So how
Yeah.
can principal develop these strategies for effectively managing and addressing the emotional need of the school community, specifically with this range of emotions we're talking about? So you can also use any of the examples to give more understanding about this topic.
Lovely question. Thank you so much. And good evening to all the beautiful people all in one frame. All the it's really my privilege to be sharing the same screen space with everyone. And back to the question now. For me, if you say about handling emotional challenges, that is, I think, the day-to-day important regular. It's the day-to-day routine for all the principals. They will agree with me. And this, as Ms. Sandhya rightly said, that this never existed in the past, and suddenly it has erupted. And this emotional regulation, I can say, it is the new science. And emotions play very important role in our day-to-day activities. Yeah, they can be basic, or they can be high order thinking, which involves high order examination. That can be anatomical, or all these substrates whereby we all as educationists, when we talk with neurophysiological science, these all the things summed up together comes as a challenge. But then I think the basic thing what any principal, or one thing that anyone in any position of authority will be willing to provide in order to inspire achievement and action, I think that is leadership. So if the person is having a proper leadership, it encompasses many other things, and that will be again, it will be a repetition probably, but yes, that is the need. If you want to regulate with emotions, then you have to have certain characteristics as a principal. Like the first and foremost, she should be a learner. She should be a learner. Every day should be a learning experience for her. She should be, her ears should be open for everything. It should not be, in short, dominant policy. It has to be receptive. She has to be receptive. She has to be positive herself. That is ignoring all the negatives. If we allow the positivity and ignore the negatives, I think it will be easy world. It's easy to handle all the emotions in the school. If she's accessible, like it is discussed that if she's having open door policy, like we are also having the same, if she's accessible to the students, to the teachers, then it becomes very easy to not prolong certain discussions, not to postpone. It happens on the spot. She has to be part of all the events, day-to-day events. If her small presence also shows to the people that she is with us, so it can be a slight pat on the back or some small sort of appreciation. Because everybody, all of us, has certain sort of struggles outside the gate. Once they are inside, I guess we have to be there like a family, and she is being the head of the institution, the mother sort of figure, motherly figure. She has to take care of all the emotions, because everybody, we never know what struggle they are going through. So if she's posted, if she's formulated, if she's cultivating and inspiring people to be goal oriented, her team to be goal oriented, they all should be marching towards a common goal, and they all are involved.
Wonderful.
Involving, yeah. When you are involved into common centric activities, then automatically you tend to forget what goes on back of your mind. So for me, for a principal also, if she memorizes simple thing, memorizes all the names of her team, her teachers, even if she's new. Like for me, I was new. It was a challenge for me to remember all the 75 names of the teachers and all the helping staff, ground staff, and then comes the students. If we directly touch their souls by taking their
Exactly.
names,
This is a very good
spelling,
example. Okay.
then-
Let me
yeah.
ask.
So- Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Nana, for sharing this wonderful
Yeah.
response. Okay. Let me ask. Okay, Sandhya, ma'am, raise your hand. Let me ask very first question. Then after, I'll take the response with Dr. Sandhya. See, as a teacher, we expect the teacher to have more understanding towards the latest generation, specifically this Gen Z and this Alpha generation. Right? We always talk about it. Okay, there's a different need towards it. If you want to have more understanding, you should be understanding the traits about this Gen Z, the early Gen Z or the late Gen Z, and this Alpha generation. For a principal also, who is around 35 to 50 years of age, right? I'm sure that you have seen a lot, but now a lot of new teachers have started joining your team, which might be from late millennials or maybe from Gen Z also, right? So I'm sure their needs are different. And lately, some of you might have seen the young workforce who have joined your team recently. They have their own tantrums, right? Not just, I mean, they don't have the problem with the teaching methodology, but I'm sure they have their own tantrums and they have their own understanding about this teaching world, which might not be fitting into the usual teaching line, right? Which is so. What's your take on this, and how, as a leader, that you are upgrading yourself to manage those crises? Anyone? Please raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity. Okay. Sandhya ma'am, over to you. We just raise your hand like in this Google Meet. Okay.
Yeah.
Sandhya ma'am.
Yeah. Gulshan, very nice question. So now recently the teachers who are becoming teachers, the new teachers, the new blood, they lack the things what the teachers 10, 20 years back had. The simplicity, the dedication, the love towards their work is missing. Because sometimes I feel not have anything to do, so they became teachers. Only who are dedicated, hardcore teachers, the way I say they are born teachers. Even if they don't have BA or MEd, but they are teachers, they learn. So it is very difficult. First of all, you have to make them understand what is a teacher, what is a teacher's job, and then train them. So I call my school a training ground. I train them for 2-3 years and then they jump to the school. So this is a very big challenge. I think everybody must be facing this because today's generation, you don't find that love for that work. And it is very tough task. And understand that this is the work what is required of a teacher. Is a task for us principals. Now the recent trend is teachers have become facilitators. I don't know what principals are going to become. I think principals may become trainers. Okay, they are going to facilitate and we are going to become ringmasters. So it is a tough job, but then slowly and slowly it takes time, at least a
Hmm.
year,
Hmm.
2 months to understand.
Exactly.
And once they understand, they do perform. But the challenge is one.
Wonderful, wonderful summarization. Hope all the teachers will watch this webinar. They'll understand something out of it. Over to you, Miss Nena.
For me, I feel the teacher has to keep the child in herself alive, and so the principal also. And if we do that, it is easy for us to update ourselves, I mean, with the generation. So even if the teachers in the age group of 25 or 30, I have maximum, but I guess they'll watch me afterwards. So I be like them and they'll be like me. So there is no gap as such. So we are enjoying life. I mean, I'm learning from them and they are learning from me. So for me, I feel every age, there is no age, first of all, it's just mental. We have to upgrade and update ourselves and to sync with the system. It has not to be some 2 3 passages or parallel lines are going side parallel lines. We have to go with the flow and be together. That's how it works, I guess. So that is the line, that we have to be a child in ourselves so that we never age.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any response from Karishma, Miss? You would like to add your point on this?
Thank you, Gulshan. Thank you so much. I believe, see, I usually, sometimes I take classes for 16, 17 years old kids, right? And when I see this, sorry. And when I see the new Gen Zs or the new teachers who are very freshly minted from their graduation and very freshly done their BA, they are excited. But with time, what we see, just like our kids are really smart. These kids are very hardworking. But somewhere I felt that they are emotionally detached. I mean, they are detached from their basic emotions, right? Because as we were talking about emotional intelligence, and when I look at people, I look at their EQ, I see that they are detached from their own emotions. So there is this question of commitment comes. It's not that they don't know. See, this is the world of tech, right? It's all about, we all are being tech savvy. So it's not that they don't know what to do. Maybe the methodology, the pedagogy is very up to the mark because they are in this generation. But then somewhere, as I mentioned, now they are detached from their own inner emotions. So they are really stressed. You give them some work and they are very anxious. They retaliate. Just like kids, they retaliate. They are aware what to do. But then when it comes actually doing it, they are good teachers. But when it comes to do other things, because lesson planning and question paper and the blueprint, they are like, oh my God, so much of work, and then they are anxious. So some
No,
of
I
them
might
do
differ.
miss.
I might differ. Being the moderator, I have to be differ with everybody's point of view. I mean, this is why we're talking about this. These generations are different. That's why there's a gap of the generations. There might be
Yes.
possibility we might not understand their point of view. Just a second, let me plug
Yes,
in my.
and they might not understand
Yes,
the
yes,
way we look at it. Yes,
yes,
the other side
exactly,
of the
exactly.
table. Yes,
That's the reason. That's why we are discussing this
yes.
topic, because we cannot be held, or I'm going to say make responsible them that okay, now they are not.
Oh, he's in. He's in.
I'm
He's
sorry.
back. Poor thing.
I'm sorry, my screen went blank. I did not plug in my,
Yeah.
you know.
Your
It's okay.
mic is
So I
off.
hope that you
Your
had
mic is
fun,
off.
right? Yeah. So whatever. I was discussing about this. Like,
Your
I was,
mic is off.
my mic is off.
Gulshan, your mic.
Okay,
Yes.
it's fine now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. So thank you. Sorry for the delay. But again, I was asking you this question. So for an example, Miss Karishma's, let's take an example. Miss Karishma is a student and I'm the teacher. My age is 35 and her age is 16, right? As a leader, I should be having more compassion towards her understanding, but I will not match her understanding at any point. Like, it would be very hard because I have not seen her world. So as a leader, I should be more accepted, or acceptance, you can say. I would be having more acceptance towards all the changes which are happening. That is why we are discussing about this emotional intelligence, isn't it? If not, I mean, if I am wrong, then please correct me. So that's the reason, because I've met a lot of principals. Every time when you talk about them, or every time when you talk about a lot of challenges, they see them as a challenges. They did not see, okay, now what all the things are happening. It's a way of life, which is and I'm sure in the next 10 years, the things will be different.
Yeah, yes, very, very true. As you said, it is actually very important for a teacher to be, I mean, principals are once a teacher, right? So for us, or for any educational leaders, to be empathetic, because that is one skill. Patience or empathy is something which has to be there, right? But when it comes to the staff, because when we look at the staff, we look at the greater good, at the bigger picture, right? Having an empathy for your colleague, or having an empathy, is always there, but then you are the one who's supposed to lead them, help them out, right? Train them, mentor them, right? Yes, but this particular Gen Z or this generation is very easy to mentor. They are willing to listen, though they have this issue of detachment, but when they know that you have something to give, you
Exactly.
have knowledge, they are very much willing to be mentored. They look at you. They might differ, as you said, and it's important to differ. See, you
Exactly.
and I don't have to be on the same page if we wish to
Exactly.
learn,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So they
That's
will
it.
definitely differ,
So
but
again,
at
that
the
leads
end,
to another question. Again, we know the differences are there. So now, as a leader, how we can enhance our understanding? Now we have different ways. Either we can directly indulge as a leader with all the people, with all the stakeholders one by one, and get more understanding with the world around us. Secondly, we should invest more time in reading about all the changes which are happening. If would there are some other ways, please highlight those. Any Dr.
see,
Mathew, Sandhya
I
ma'am,
would
anyone?
also, I will just take a minute to add to what
Please.
Gulshan said. These are, see, when you talk about emotional intelligence and all, these are all 21st century skills. So a very, very crucial 21st century skill is collaboration. The moment you start collaborating with this young chaps or this young Gen Zs, right? You learn a lot, and you're open to brainstorming. It adds more to your own creativity. So I believe one aspect could always be
I
collaboration, because it,
I totally agree with your point. Even one of the principals in our recent webinars, she has highlighted, like, in order to bring more collaboration, what they are doing in their school. For an example, if some of these students are good in Canva, which they use it to create a lot of good stuff, right? To
yes,
creatives and some other
yes,
things, making
yes.
videos, with the teachers are not very familiar about it. So instead of doing the training done from some XYZ person, no, they have instructed the students to have some classes for their teachers, right? So they have the more understanding कि ठीक है, okay, you are good in science, you are teaching science to your students, but you are not good in Canva or some other skills, maybe how to record a podcast, for an example. So if the students are interested, they can organize some classes for their teachers. So it brings more collaboration and more have understanding kind of a stake between the stakeholders. Anybody's would like to add a new point? Yes, Dr. Mathew, please.
Well, I was listening to some of these observations, which are quite wonderful. But, one thing which need to be streamlined is some of us have tried to categorize emotional intelligence for students, for teachers, and also, I would say, for principals also. So this is, see, this has to be seen in different perspectives as well as in the totality of a school. And when we see it in the totality of a school, I should add this to that. sometimes a student can be more emotionally balanced than even a teacher or a principal. Or it can happen vice versa too. So EQ cannot be categorized into an each or into a specific segment exactly. See, God has given us brains, head is there, and we have emotions, feelings down there. Okay, for a figurative purpose, we can say heart. So what should control what? That is, whether the heart should control the head or the head should control the heart. This is the question actually. Whether your reasoning has to control your emotions or your emotions have to control your reasoning power. So it depends. There is no age difference for this factor. And sometimes, depending on the environment in which we are, even the new generation, there's nothing that is called age, because we are evolving. As a society, we are evolving. As schools, we are evolving. And there, it is imparting the skill. We are, after all, leaders. We are the guiding people behind. And we don't have to make it very explicit that your segment doesn't have it, or this segment doesn't have it. This is a universal. Some of the teachers also can get very immature. Even some of the very self-awareness, which is part of the emotional intelligence, is animalistic. You can get. You can't control bell or break over your emotions, that you get very primitive type. It can happen from a student, it can happen from a teacher, it can happen from even a principal. So it is a balancing of your reasoning power to control your emotions and your activities, And that, if you give it, a principal has a very important role to play in it, because first, as a role model, as a person who, we don't have to talk a lot about it. Perhaps actions speak louder than words. So how mature you are, what kind of mastery you have over your subject and over your people, what kind of experiences you carry. So that would bring in automatically a kind of discipline and a thoroughness about what you do and how you do it. Once you have that thoroughness about what you do and how you do it, and you don't have to convey a lot of things in theory or words. The children are the best. I tell you, 21st century children are the best people to pick up things so fast, so wonderfully well. Sometimes it is, as the saying goes, very difficult to teach an old dog new tricks, But young puppies pick up skills very fast. What I
Very
say is,
cliche,
earlier
I
I
would
was
rather say.
telling, age is not a factor. There is no number. There is only a number. Age is not anywhere else other than just a number. But all of us need to be young at heart, and we need to learn and adapt and pass it on. And it is a collaborative way of making our children balanced, level-headed, taking appropriate decisions in a time of difficulty. There may be very challenging times, even there also. And that should happen among teachers and the principal. So once there is a very serious issue, say, for example, and how level-headed, how balanced you are. I think, for army officers or the defense personnel, there's a kind of training, or even recruitment or anything is concerned. There is a kind of quality that is looked for. How balanced you can be at a time of difficulty or a crisis situation. So if you have that thing in you, naturally your children will pick it up. And if you are a matured person, you make other people mature. If you are a balanced person, you have mastery over things, they will also want to copy that same mastery from you.
Exactly.
And
You rightly
if you have
summed up. You rightly
discipline,
summed up,
they will
Dr.
also
Mathew.
pick up
I
that.
mean, as a leader, we should be role model specifically when portraying all the skills.
Exactly.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, over to Dr. Sandhya. You have raised your hand. You wanted to add your point. Please do that.
Here, I would like to add, Gulshan, that when we are talking about emotional intelligence, I'll just share with you one incident which happened yesterday in school. Class, imagine class one is a 6-year-old child who's just entered the school and 2 months. May was holiday, April, June. He comes to me with his palm. He has hurt himself with a pencil point. And the reason of hurting himself was his partner was irritating, joking. So the pencil point had gone in his palm and he was crying bitterly and telling me that my partner was joking. As if now just imagine a 6-year-old is harming himself. So here now our duty as teachers, as principal has increased. Now, if you remember in our childhood, our friends used to mock us, but we never hurt each other, right? We used to again go back and mock at them, make fun of them. But a 6-year-old poking himself with pencil so badly has made me think again that what are we dealing with now?
Exactly.
Because one child at home, pampered a lot, given whatever he wants, his emotional IQ, his emotional health is totally dependent on yes. He
Exactly.
can't take no as an answer. Here, our role as teachers has increased.
Wonderful. Yeah, over to you, Miss Naina. You want to add your point? Please do that.
Like it is not addition, it's just like I feel that whenever we speak about challenges, like we always say in our many talk shows, webinars, that nowadays schooling is a challenge, teaching is a challenge, etc. But I think rather than taking it as a challenge, I take it as a journey. So it becomes interesting. Every day is a new day, and then it becomes easy for all of us. I think that is the best medicine to deal with these things.
Wonderful, wonderful, great, great. Now that leads to the next question. Okay, I would like to ask this question with Miss Karishma. So, building this strong relationship is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, right? We're talking about this building relationship. So, how can the principals cultivate the positive relationship with their staff, students, and parents? Because I'm sure that leads to a more healthy and productive school climate, right? So, any effective strategies that you are implementing in your own school to have more, you can say, more good relations with all the stakeholders, please?
Right. So Gulshan, if we again, as we are talking about emotional intelligence, here again I will like to take what Sandhya ma'am said. It is very important as it was already mentioned by Mr. John, that it is important for us to be the role models, right? So a principal or an educational leaders, they always have to possess a very strong EQ. Right. All the time they have to demonstrate a very strong ego. They should be able to control and understand. They should be self-regulated when it comes to their own emotions. And they should also have a quality, or they should possess a quality of able to understand the other people's emotions as well, being empathetic. And coming up to cultivating a positive relationship, right? Because it's very important. Highs and lows are always there. As Nayana ma'am said, that it's a journey.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a journey. And it's a beautiful journey. Yes, we have our ups and downs. We have a lot of things. We have bitter experiences also. And when it comes to kids, yes, we are all very protective. We tend to be very protective. So I believe the very first approach would be having an open and transparent communication chain. It should be very open and transparent when it comes to parents, staff, or your students, right? A principal or an educationist or an educational leader should be accessible and available, right? I have heard it in a lot of places that we listen to react, not to respond, right? So we should be good listeners. My personal, if you ask me, I just need to lend my ears to my kids, especially my kids. My parents, when they barge in, they're angry, they're upset. One glass of water and your ears. 60 to 70% of the issues, yes, that could work wonders, because they want someone to listen. There is always not a big issue. As ma'am said, the nib in the hand, right? While growing up, we fall, we scratch, the kids do a lot. But for the parent, they just want someone to listen, right? So you being available and accessible, you being a very active listener, and you encouraging an open dialogue as about collaboration. That's important.
That's a wonderful suggestion. Yeah, that's a wonderful suggestion. And this method can be applied with all the stakeholders, regardless of their challenges and regardless of their problems. Right? Because every stakeholder's challenges and problems are different. What you can do, if you don't even have the solution, still you can do lend your ears, right? At least hear them out. The wonderful suggestion.
I mean, that's how you show your empathy, right? You're
Exactly,
trying to
exactly.
understand.
Yes.
They have come to the principal, definitely they have an issue. Even when it comes to the management also. They have something boiling, then only they will approach the principal. So it's very important to have an open and a transparent channel. You
Wonderful.
schedule
Wonderful.
meetings regularly.
That's a good
Right.
suggestion. That's a good suggestion. Let me take some more suggestions from the other speakers as well from this question. So, with the same question applies to the other speakers as well. Ms. Nayana, Dr. Sandhya, Dr. Mathew, if you would like to add your point, then how you can build more happy places, creating a positive culture specifically for this, creating more good relations. So, what sort of strategies that you're implementing in your school? Anyone can raise your hand. Okay. Over to you, Dr. Sandhya. You have raised your hand.
Okay. What we should do is we should invite parents for small programs. We should we celebrate Father's Day, Mother's Day, Grandparents' Day, not many days. So if today only we celebrated Father's Day.
Yes.
And around 150 fathers were there in my school. They were painting, they were making collage, they were dancing, they were singing. So when you build that relationship with them and they know that there is something, they can come and talk, they can discuss, they can have open talk on any topic about their child. That will help you build this relationship. So they know that where they can approach. When you have these small functions where parents become a part of the school and they understand that the school is working for the child, there that relation.
That's a good suggestion. So whenever, what you are suggesting, whenever there would be any opportunity to include any stakeholders in any playful activity or any meaningful activity, do indulge yourself. That's a good suggestion.
And going officially, we have a lot of these things like Man Ki Baat jo Prime Minister karte hain. We can have coffee with principal. We can have open chat with principal. You can name it anything. Just invite, let them come. You will spend half an hour, but imagine the relationship what you are going to build. So this is going to.
So it has to be a continuous thing, not in once in a while thing.
Yes.
So in jokes apart, the principal has to be a coffee lover, because for a parent it's only one coffee, but for a principal it's 30 coffees in a month.
रोज नहीं पीना है, एक दिन में एक ही.
Thank you. Yeah, over to you, Miss Nana.
Yeah. I'll just add to this. I'm enjoying this, what Miss Sandhya is saying. And what we do is we give Star of the Month awards every month to all the students who have been punctual, regular, up to the mark with all the, attendance, studies, projects, etc., even to the teachers. Coffee we already have. Yes, we do have coffee with the parents. And we have breakfast with principal. That is after the every assessments, whoever have performed well compared to the previous. So we do all those things. And this is the new trend. This is a new education. NEP 2020 and G20 has opened doors for so many futuristic, good education ideas, which we are all creatively actually reformed ourselves, and we are utilizing it thanks to the new educational policy that we are actually I will say we are enjoying this new system. And that's how every day is a magical day for the educationists at ground level. And regarding the positivity, I say that the assembly begins with a smile on our faces, and assembly is the big great start of the day for all the principals. And to see our beautiful team, our students standing together and then marching to the classes. So I think the positivity, the spirituality starts with that, and that is what holistic education Z professes every time. And not only Z, all the schools. I'm just talking about my school at the moment. So branding in a way. So yeah, so that was just to make you all smile.
We don't mind if you're branding in a positive manner. We really don't mind. Okay, we also have another speaker, smile. Dr. Gauranga. Dr. Gauranga, can you hear us? Because we did not hear anything from you. Are you with us?
Yeah, he's not there, I guess. He's
okay.
Offline.
Fair enough. Sure. Any speaker would like to add your views, or should we go to the final section of our webinar? Okay, so now we are moving on to the last section of our webinar, which we call it rapid fire round, and how this rapid fire round works. So our topic is the power of educational intelligence in educational leadership, right? So we have discussed a lot of solutions. We have discussed a lot of, you can say, creative ideas during this 1 hour webinar, right? Now I would like to have 2 more suggestions from your side, then how to enhance the more emotional intelligence in this educational leadership. For an example, if a principal would like to enhance their this emotional intelligence, then what are the ways through which he or she can enhance their emotional intelligence? And I would like you to give me 2 creative suggestions. So I'm giving you 30 seconds to think over it. First I'll go to Sandhya ma'am, then Miss Nayana, then Miss Karishma, then Dr. Mathew. Right?
Yeah.
So 30 seconds, over to you.
So, Gulshan, what we do is every third Saturday, we have a sort of training first, and then we have an hour of enjoyment. It can be singing, it can be dancing, it can be playing. And if I find that teachers are not paying attention, हमारे पास बहुत बड़ा ground है. I tell my PE teachers, "लो और भगा के लाओ." So they are all alert.
Okay.
So this is how we build our team. Then within every 6 months, I take them for a outing, picnic. So full day is spent outside where they bond and gel with each other. We do have overnight camps in school. So we stay at school at night. So again, there is bonding. So once you develop that bond, we are talking about emotional intelligence, all the intelligence will start working. So that bonding is important.
Wonderful. And bonding that too in Goa will actually helps a lot.
वो वाला bonding नहीं, गोवा बहुत better है.
Great. Okay, over to you, Miss Nayana.
Well, our bonding starts with hugs exchanging to all the teachers. Even if we get a minute when we are just exchanging the classrooms, with that smile, and also full day, like we don't need a moment or so. Of course, we don't miss a chance, but then we don't miss a moment. There are academic reviews every Saturday when we meet again each other. So we don't only discuss academics. Apart from that, we discuss the positive things, what have happened. We clap for each other. So that is again team building. Team building can necessarily not be only academic wise. It can be a praise. It can be a pat on the back. It can be standing ovation from me. Even our director, sir, is very, very jovial and very outgoing person. So we as a team, we work together and we perform many activities which brings us under one common you can say banner. And that's how, like, we have conducted Nukkad Nataks in the last month, whereby we took the teachers out, we have given them some activities. So we went on the streets with one theme, social message, with the students. So this was again a team building for in a way. Even the parents came. So the parents and the students and the teachers, it was fun. So I think these are the basic things which we enjoy also. At the same time, we emotionally come closer also.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, over to you, Miss Karishma, to your 2 good suggestions.
Oh, no. All my suggestions are somewhere, William. I'm actually out of it because if you ask me as a person, for me, collaboration is important, which has already been a part. And along with collaboration, it is very important, as Sandhya ma'am and Nayana ma'am was very rightly mentioning, about the culture. It's basically the happy culture that you have around you, right? And I believe the very first thing starts is with the good morning. People here in India, we don't find, I mean, maybe I have moved around a lot, so I find people, they're not very open when it comes to strangers. We like US don't go around and say, hi, hello, good morning. I mean, that culture is different. But when you start inculcating that in your kids, you wish them twice, you wish them thrice. Definitely the third or the fourth time your child, the moment he sees you, he will wish you, good morning, ma'am, even if you're not paying attention. So the very first thing starts is right from stepping into the school, right, wherever you are. The moment you see somebody, it could be a guard, it could be a fourth class, a fourth grade employee, anybody. And one good morning with a smile, and that makes their day. So from there you have, it's not about, maybe you will not see them the entire day, but that one thing, it connects you to people, and that is what is actually,
So
I
what you are
believe, is
suggesting is
important.
greeting the other person regardless of the
Greeting,
designation,
creating
right?
that culture, creating
Yes.
that culture,
So
creating
being a
that
principal, you should
awareness.
not wait for the other person. You
Yes.
should come to you and say good
You
morning.
should be the
You
role
should be
model
the
or
role
the
model. You
team
should
lead there.
be the more extrovert person, right?
Yes.
Fair enough. Good. Very good. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you.
Mathew. You need to unmute yourself first. Yeah. Unmute, unmute. Dr. Mathew, you need to unmute yourself.
There
Yes,
isn't a
now.
magic wand actually to prescribe, this emotional bonding or relationship awareness, etc. It's how you go about with things. Especially there are weak, whether it is teachers or whether it is children or colleagues, whatever it is. There are weak people. There are average, below average, different categories of students and people are there. What I have realized in a span of around 30, 40 years is that if you mean good and your intentions are genuine in terms of giving the best to the children and to the colleagues, naturally the bonding is created and the team is formed. And nobody can defeat that kind of a team in any good school for that matter. I will tell it from my experience in different places, schools. I had the opportunity to head a British curriculum school in Maldives. I was boarding the flight. The minister told me, Mr. Mathew, be careful. I'm sending you to a place where you may have to take the next flight and come back. Of course, it was a British Air Base school. Children had their own problems because they were far too advanced. Discipline issues are there, things like that. You won't believe, when you give a little love, compassion, understanding to the same children, and you build your team, and strengthen your team, and you give them the kind of backbone to deal with issues. Naturally, the children, I have seen, without much persuasion, without much lectures, at the right time, the right stroke at the right place at the right time. How it happens, I can't explain it in words exactly. This time it has happened, in this lecture it has happened. Sometimes somebody is in need, somebody is in difficulty. We understand their problem, we encourage. You won't believe that particular school in the IGCSE examination produced the best result in all of South Asia.
That's
Whether you
great.
believe it or not. And the Britishers were so amused, or rather, they wanted to know what is happening in this school. They sent a couple of people, to just see what the dynamics. And they found that the motivation level of the students and the teachers were so high. They were so inspired. They were so dynamic that it happened. It continuously happened for years. So even in India, for that matter, it's not only a example I'm giving only happening in any place. Even in India, even in a remote place, let the children be average, below average, weak, good, rich, poor, anything let it be. You treat them like children and you help them like their own parents would do it. And you set the right parameters and you make the children and the teachers understand why we are doing a certain thing in a particular way. Or you brainstorm and make them understand that, why this particular way of going about may help. I will tell you, we find students in high positions emerging from that kind of atmospheres. So it is a kind of learning for us principals. It is also collaborating. Relationship is very important. That good relationship will come, I feel, from the simplicity and the good intentions you have, the sincerity
Wonderful.
of purpose that you have. If you
Wonderful.
have
I believe there's some net problem. But I like his point where he mentioned that the intentions matter the most. in our life also, in our personal life also, whenever we want to help anyone with his good intentions, it always brings smile on our faces, isn't it?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So again, we had a wonderful session, isn't it? We discussed a lot of good points, and I'm sure all the people, when they're going to, can say, watch this webinar or listen this webinar, they're going to have a lot of good points. At the same time, they'll smile as well. So again, on the behalf of the entire team of Inspired Valley, I thank you everyone, Dr. Sandhya, Ms. Nayana, Ms. Karishma, Dr. Joan, and Dr. Gauranga, for your valuable time and valuable inputs. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time.